So since I was a little kid, I felt a lot of respect towards CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and all of those news channels because it seemed like that's what grown-ups do. You know, they drink their coffee, they read their newspaper, and then they watch TV, they watch the daily news. As I got older, however, and I started actually watching the news, I realized that all of them are as far removed from reality as possible. If you're an objective person, you know that for 5 minutes there's no way you can tell the whole story, and that's how the news channels are built nowadays. Usually they try to make it seem as they're not taking sides, but by the people they bring in and with the images they show and the narratives and the wording is really important. They are actually taking a certain side to the whole issue. For example, if you look at the way that the mainstream media portrayed riots before everything in the Middle East happened, they said that they're anarchists, hooligans, that the police should step in and should deal with them, and they basically condemned those riots. But as soon as the riots and the protests in the Middle East happened, they completely changed their agenda. It was in their best interest to take the side of the opposition for one reason or another. If you look at any news broadcast, you realize that there are actual advertisements rolling down the screen as they're portraying the news. The wording is also very important because they dedicate such a short amount of time to the actual issue. They use those 10 words in a very strategic way. So you gotta start thinking, why is the order like this? For example, if Fox News makes a mistake and says Osama instead of Obama, you have to realize that this is on purpose because this is not Chuck E. Cheese's. That information goes through a lot of people, and those kind of errors don't happen by mistake. So you have to put yourself in the position of the people who are giving you the news and see why exactly they want to disseminate those news in this exact manner. I mean, it's all fun and games to talk about all of these things, but it gets more serious once you realize that you go to college and your professors are talking about these news sources as more legitimate than other news sources only because they're well established. So you start questioning the very nature of your university and the educational system that you're put in. And you come to the conclusion that the US educational system plays as big of a role as the media outlets in creating this mechanism of funneling a certain type of agenda to the masses. I understand why this can be very hard for some people who have realized the limitation of their educational system and still they don't see a way out, because if you go into the classroom and say, this is all bullshit, why are we all pretending that we rule the world, and we're all discussing this issue and we're basing our sources on media outlets which are propagandist in their very nature. In my experience, the professors that I know are actually way more liberal than their students, but they fear that they shouldn't express their true opinion in order to remain objective. The truth is that if your students are being brainwashed day by day, from kindergarten to middle school to high school to college, if they're gone through this whole process, you gotta say, stop watching Bill O'Reilly, stop watching Keith Olbermann, Maddow, Battle, all of them. Just stop watching them because they're part of a mechanism, and start reading stuff that's not written in the US, something that has an outsider perspective, something that is more likely to portray what's actually happening in the world. So yeah, that's it. I would love to hear what other people have to say about this. You can leave me a comment or write me an email or whatever people do these days. And see you next time. Peace.